Hey everybody, it's me, Jake Redpath, host of Jakin' Off. Thanks for tuning in. Today I am joined by a very funny comedian and friend of mine. It's Cassie Duncan, everybody. Give Cassie a round of applause. Give it up for her. Come on, you can do better than that. Clap your hands. Today I'm joined by Cassie. You can find her on Instagram at #Cassie. That's at hashtag spelled out, and Cassie, Cassie. As always, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and listening to the podcast. If you're feeling up to it, feel free to give us a rating or a review on whatever you're using to listen to your podcasts. As always, follow us at jakin.off.podcast on Instagram and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for listening. We couldn't do it without you. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. And have a good show. Enjoy the show, mate. so sorry. That much, mate. I hate talking this way because I kind of hate like grind set like culture and stuff like that.
Oh no, I do too.
But you do have to. It requires that. You know what I mean? Like you have to be there and like that kind of stuff and like actually out there doing it for people to even remember that you exist. you know, when it comes time for them to be like, oh, I'm gonna have this comedy show. Like, who should I have on it? Is it? You know, they're never going to think of somebody that they never see.
It's just, it is just kind of the nature of it. Like, I'm not somebody who's like, grind, get up at 5 and,
same.
eat just raw eggs or whatever,
but you have to do, like, hard work to
there's a lot of work.
Things that you want.
Because I think bands, they have to do the same thing. Bands have to go to, like, and try to perform at a venue every single night.
Or even just, like, fucking accountants. You know what I mean? You can't be the best accountant without some practice.
Yeah. And then on top of
hustle.
all of this, you have to like learn how to really promote yourself online too. Because now look, there are a lot of people who go into comedy for a lot of different reasons.
100%.
Like a lot of people go into this and they just want to do it for fun, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. To get laid.
That's why I'm in it.
Yeah,
that's
what all comics do.
And
right?
it's working.
We're all just getting laid all the time.
I have a girlfriend.
Yeah. And so like you just have to so it becomes a grind just I think out of necessity if you're trying to like move up
100%.
and try to get bigger. You're like, you got to do the whole record yourself and you got to edit that video, make it fun, and then use the right hashtags, post it up on social media, blah blah, the whole thing.
I think that is one of the things that is sort of like really important in comedy, in both in the like on stage aspect, but then like also off stage, is being self-aware and knowing yourself well enough to be like, oh, maybe I should do this, or like maybe these are the kinds of clips that I should put out, like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And knowing your act well enough to be like, this is funny, like this could be funny online, like that kind of stuff too. And I feel like it's just like such an important element. And I feel like when you go to these places like open mics and stuff like that, where you see, just not everybody that goes to these things is like a complete psychopath, but there certainly are some, just absolute
characters,
like 100% certified fucking insane people that go to the open
there are
mics.
Some wild characters,
and that's anywhere, and I mean they're just crazy people everywhere. This fucking
and you have an open mic, literally an open mic. Anybody can come in here, pick up this microphone, and say whatever.
In comedy specifically, I feel like it's one of the more accessible sort of performing arts, because you don't need an instrument or anything like that to do it. You just have to walk in and write your name down, which like is
the scariest thing sometimes.
It's obvious. I think that's really cool, on paper and in theory, like that's really awesome. But sometimes in practice, it ends up being something that everybody is like, wow, that shouldn't there should be something.
I can't remember his name, but it was the good old Uptown Arts Bar days.
R.I.P.
There was a comic where I don't know if he was really doing comedy or if he was just doing this weird performance art thing, because he would just go up and just yell random things, and a lot of the time it was messed up stuff. Like, he would just go up there. Well, he would just like literally just say, "I'm so gay, I suck more dick than Paris Hilton," which was so funny because it was like even then it was like, because that was 2015. Even then it was kind of a dated reference.
Let me ask you something. Was this a black man?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No, I know exactly who you're talking about. One of the most like, I mean, just I can't even describe it. I feel like I have a hard time describing it to people because it's like I can't say any of the stuff that he says.
Oh, I can't either. We're two white people.
You know what I mean?
Here.
Like, I can't say any of the stuff that he says, but it is somehow like it's just so off the wall, like insane and like racist.
He was like
and,
he was like the original Kanye
and stuff. Yes. Oh my god.
He was like the original Kanye.
That's so accurate.
For anybody that doesn't know this, man, he was black. And he would just go up there and say the most racist shit.
And he'd be like, I want to suck Jesus Christ's dick. He'd talk about how he wants to suck Jesus Christ's
But it was okay.
dick.
But you knew it was going to be the most wild time. I remember I was there with a girl I was dating at the time, and I was like, watch this guy. Watch this. He's going to go up there and just, you just need to give you a performance.
Yeah. Oh, man. There are some people that are just so memorable, like... My dad came to an open mic one time, and he was just somebody there did terrible. I don't remember them or like anything, but he still quotes it to me to this day. He still quotes like this awful joke. I'm not gonna say the joke just because I don't want to like. We did just say a person's name.
we did.
I'll bleep out their name. I'm gonna leave that in though because that's so funny. It's true though. They were insane. There were so many crazy people that would go there. Like the first time that I ever went there was a dude in the audience that had like a parrot on his shoulder and was sitting there throughout the show, and the parrot had like. It was like shitting on his back. What? You know what I mean? Like, because the bird's just like sitting on his shoulder for the entire open mic.
I think ironically we're making people want to go to open mics now.
Yeah. I've seen at that same place, I saw somebody get a gun pulled on them. I've told this story on the podcast before, but Joe Nunnick, podcast alum, Jakeoff Nation citizen, got... A man pulled a gun out while he was on stage there once.
What? I miss the Uptown Arts Bar.
Yeah, it was like
mic,
if a pirate ship was a building. You know?
That's okay.
Cool.
That is the best way. That is the best way to. That was actually the first time I had ever felt like a woman.
Really?
No, it wasn't the first time I ever felt like a woman, but it was the first like outward like experience because there was some just big old drunk dude at the bar, and I was standing there closing out my tab, and he's like, "Hey, cutie," and I thought he was talking to this girl next to me. He's like, "No, you." And I was like, "Okay, thanks," and I'm doing all right. And he then like comes like and tries to hug me and like he was a big dude. He was just wrapping his arms around me, and I was like, "Oh wow,
oh my god,
wow!" Being a woman is scary. Like,
Jeez, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I was like, I really felt very scared at that. I can laugh about it now, but at the moment, it was scary. Actually, it was
that's terrifying.
Okay, so yeah.
I don't even like hugging people that I know.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that shit. I fucking have like a personal space. Like I have a personal space thing, and I hate people invading my personal space. I think that it's. Like invading other people's personal space is awful, but like also sexually assaulting them, even worse. You know what I mean? Like I fucking like can't imagine like having to deal with people doing that to me all the time. It fucking like would literally like it makes my skin crawl just thinking about
It's another example of how I can tell people like that say being trans is a choice. I'm like, the fact that happened to me and I still was like, all right, I'm gonna be a woman. You know what I mean? Like to come out after that, it's not a choice, man. This is real. You go through all this shit and you're still saying you're a woman. I was like, I don't know. Maybe this makes people stop talking about chromosomes so much, man.
It is fucking so annoying. Like I mean, like, I'm sure that you know, the discourse surrounding trans people is like, it makes me so frustrated.
Oh, tell me about it.
Because it's like, like, it's all of these people are like riled up over nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like they're unreachable in a lot of ways.
A lot of people are. The thing is, I think right now it's just kind of the new scary flavor of the week. I think there are a lot of things in our history where when you have a person who in the mainstream is being accepted for the first time, they're new, and it's like a new concept. I think even if like trans people are not new, but the acceptance of trans people is new, and so I think a lot of people get weird or scared, and I think a lot of people have knee-jerk reactions, and then you mix that with what the media can say about us and stuff like that. It kind of amps everything up. So I think we'll be okay in the end, but right now it's not a extremely fun time,
And I think that the like, the really like part that is like sad for me and that like makes me feel fucking like so just like pissed off about it is like, because you're one of the first people that I've known like that is transitioned, and I feel like you're so open about it and like honest, and you're very approachable. And I think that like, I just feel like if people had someone like that in their lives, they'd be like, oh, it's literally just people trying to live
and that's why I'm so vocal about all
stuff,
of this, whether it be on social media or my stand-up comedy. I love like using my stand-up comedy to kind of like what you said, that I was one of the first like trans people that you met. Like I know when I go up on stage and I'm like doing a show, this is the first time a lot of people are seeing a trans person in person. So I like to go up there and just like be relatable, show I'm a normal person with normal experiences, and actually try to make my trans experiences somewhat relatable to people who can't relate to it. 100%.
And you're killing it too.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job.
That. Thank you.
Like I feel like mission accomplished. You're doing it. You're doing an awesome job, and it's been like really cool to see. I've really enjoyed like watching you do stand up, and because I do feel like I'm getting to know you, for the first time, and it's cool. I think it's really awesome. So,
by the way, which reminds me of a very funny story.
Yes.
I think you might even know where I'm going with this, but when I first got back into comedy last year, and I went to the first time I went to the Rhino open mic, I hadn't seen you in years, and I forgot you got rid of your social media for a bit.
Yeah.
And I just went up to you and I said, "Oh, hey, Jake," and you were like, how do I know you? I was like, oh, cool. By the way, I made some changes, and so
I didn't.
You did not recognize me at first.
I didn't. I didn't remember you. I recognized you. I was like, I know you from somewhere. I was like, I don't remember. And then when you said that, I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay. And then it all made sense
because it had been a few years. And then again, because like I kept following everybody on social media, I forgot that you had gotten rid. So I thought you were like new and stuff. Like,
no, I had to get off of social media for like during the pandemic.
Oh yeah,
it's like a mental health move. I was like, I probably shouldn't be on Twitter.
Oh,
for this.
There was never a scarier time for social media than during the pandemic.
Yeah, it really was like just a flurry of information, and like everybody I know suddenly had like all of these opinions on medical science and shit, and like fucking that's the other thing that I think the pandemic has changed drastically is like who a medical authority is now is like vastly different than it was before the pandemic. Like just culturally that has changed now, and like people are like, I listen to this guy. I listened to this guy who sells supplements.
This guy in the front seat of his truck.
Yeah,
he made a video on TikTok. I was like, oh, that really you will listen to that guy over the doctor. Like all of a sudden, the word expert became a bad word.
No, I know it really is, and I think that there's like good reason for that. Like I think that this country has a really big problem with like elitism and stuff like that, and you know, sort of painting like a lot of working class people in like a really negative light, you know. And so I think that there's like a reasonable amount of backlash to like that kind of stuff, but it is like now getting to the point where it's overboard, like it's become like too much, where now we're getting into the realm of like exactly what you said, like expertise doesn't exist.
It's
And
like these
it's
are just
now
people
only
who've studied this.
Yeah.
I want to listen to them. I want to listen to people who've studied all this. I don't think they have some big agenda here.
Opinions or like pontificating now hold the same weight as like research and, you know, like the scientific method and stuff like that. And that's not good. You know, that's bad.
And I know a part of like confusion, because, you know, I've got a lot of conservative family members, and I've listened to them at, you know, family events talk about this stuff. And I think a part of the problem is at the beginning of the pandemic, there was so much new information coming in that like the experts kind of kept changing what they were saying we needed to do to be safe. And so it was kind of like,
well, nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah. But what they didn't understand is like it's such a new strain of this virus that like we're all learning at the same time. So I get the frustration of, well, you told me to do this one day, now you're telling me to do this, and it's just we can't. They just couldn't know what to do right at that moment. Like it was so new that even the experts were like, wait, let us find out too.
And I completely agree with you, and I think that a lot of that is tied to like people's idea of government as like this sort of like you know, it's not even a real thing where people like, you know what I mean? It's not even a real thing. It's just sort of this like force that exists, you know, but actually it's just like people making decisions. And sometimes they fuck up and do a really bad job.
Absolutely.
I.e. the pandemic. I mean, it's gone terribly. Like, so many people are dead. Like, everything is, you know, more or less in shambles, like, I would say.
Yeah.
So.
That's why I didn't believe any of the conspiracy theories, because I was like, guys, who's benefiting from this? You think the government is benefiting from us not working? Yeah. Government needs us to be working to keep this economy going. You know, who's that helping?
And well, on top of that, like the sort of I don't know, like there's been a lot of like benefits for corporations and like really like middlemen too, to make a ton of money, and like small businesses have just been like completely fucked. And it's just kind of like sad and depressing that the whole game at this point is like, well, like I hate masks or whatever, you know what I mean? Like that's the extent of like the issue for most people when it comes to like COVID. They're like, I won't take a vaccine, or like, you know, they're like, you need to wear a mask everywhere and like all this stuff. And, you know, like to that extent, I don't know. It just is like the level of conversations that we have in this country are like, it's staggeringly like shallow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
wild.
Most people have like such a like limited understanding of how stuff works. And a lot of people aren't willing to admit that also. You know what I mean? I don't know how a fucking vaccine works.
I have no idea.
I have no fucking clue what mRNA is. That's not my fucking shit. Like, I don't give a fuck.
I feel like I'm Bill Burr. Do you ever see that clip? I don't watch. I just want to say this. I don't watch the Joe Rogan podcast, but there was that clip when he was on Joe Rogan, and it was earlier on in the pandemic, and Bill Burr's like, I listen to the scientists. They tell me to wear a mask. I wear a mask. Like, I don't know anything about science. And so I was kind of like Bill Burr. I was like, I don't know anything about it, so I'm going to go with what they tell me is the best thing to do.
Well, and that was like the whole thing is like all these fucking people. This is why I had to get off social media, is because all these people suddenly they were like, well, I read this research paper and like da-da-da. And it's like, shut the fuck up, dude. You do not know how to read a research paper. Like, you know what I mean? Even if you read it, it's like, that doesn't mean shit to me. Like, oh, you read a research paper? Like, congratulations.
You read a paper.
Like, did you understand it? You
right.
know? Like, you could read anything. Like, and so it just fucking it was driving me insane. And then there was also just sort of like this level. The other thing that got to me during the pandemic was like people being like, oh, we all need to stay home and like da 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 da. But then I would see them posting stuff of them like out doing shit. I'm like, what the fuck? God damn it,
dude! You're making us
so
look bad over here.
I know.
Oh,
like,
are you talking about the big name? I don't want to drop names here.
Who?
Big K, like mayor. That was a big thing where he was like, everybody stay inside, and then he was on vacation down in like Lake of the Ozarks. And
the mayor of Kansas City.
yeah, I don't know. Okay, I don't know how much we can name.
Quentin
how
Lucas.
much you wanted to name
we
drop
can name
on
Quentin
it.
Lucas.
Okay,
Yeah, I
okay,
just don't know if
okay.
it's good to bully open mic comedians.
Okay, you
I'll bleep
Fair.
out his name for sure.
bully
I
that
gotta bleep
Cassie
it again.
mayor,
Bleep.
though.
Yeah, Quentin Lucas can suck my hog.
No, he did though. He went on vacation. Because I get it. It was a hard time. He had just been elected too, so this dude's dealing with so much stuff. Because the pandemic happened, and then George Floyd.
Yes.
And so you have this new mayor who's dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to go on vacation, man. So he went down, and these people apparently tried to get a picture of them, and he told them like no at first. He's like, no, I don't want a picture. And they just kept urging and then they took it, and of course they posted it online, and then now it's making their look, the guy who told us to stay inside and not go and be with large groups of people. Look at him at the pool. Look at him at the pool.
Mayor.
Yeah. So
I think that like it was pissing me off because it would be like people that I knew. You know, and I'm like, fucking have a little integrity,
man. Come on.
You know, I didn't do very much during the pandemic, but then I started once I got vaccinated. Like then I was like, all right, I'm gonna fucking. But I still went and did some like outdoor stuff.
I was gonna ask, did you do any comedy during this?
I did
time?
a little bit. I went to like some outdoor open mics and stuff. Certainly not at the beginning, and not until like after winter. Of like COVID. So there was like at least like a good like 8 months where I didn't do comedy. Probably 8 to 10 months, I would say.
Yeah.
But after that I would come out like really sparingly, and then I don't know.
I can only imagine how weird of a time that was for comedy. I wasn't back in comedy yet, of course, but because I was just somebody staying in my house trying to survive. I was just somebody trying not to die. I couldn't even think about getting back into comedy at the time, and so but I just imagine like what it was for everybody.
I did a couple Zoom shows. That shit fucking sucked.
What you mean? Our comedy doesn't come off as well for a Zoom call?
It was the dumbest idea ever. I thought it was so lame, and like. I get it, you know, people just needed shit to do. Like that was the whole thing, was people needed shit to do during that time period. And looking back now, I wish that I would have been of the mindset of like, I should capitalize on this period of time where people need shit to do. You know, because a lot of comedians did that and they did really well for themselves, and like, you know, they came out of the pandemic in a better position than they were before.
Hey, right on.
You know, which is more power to you. I wish that I would have done that for sure, but in the same vein, I was just like, this fucking sucks. You know, everybody's just in their house. You know, because it wasn't just comedians either. Like so many people just in general like got on social media and were getting on like TikTok, because that was like right when TikTok was taking off.
It's about when I got my TikTok.
When it was getting like super mainstream. You know, and so I just was. Yeah, I was just feeling very disillusioned at that time, and so I was like, I gotta step away from all this.
Yeah.
But the people who did the opposite, I feel like they really like capitalized on a moment in time in a way that was pretty good.
I was definitely not one of those people that was gonna capitalize. I was like, I need to like just hang inside and like I said, just try to survive.
Yeah.
You know, at the time.
100%. I remember like, because I was living above Mockingbird with Mitchell and Joe.
Yeah,
at the beginning of COVID.
It was actually. I think that sounds like a fun time.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah, but hey, that sounds like a fun time. The three
well,
of you.
because it was also the period that I lived there. Because then that summer, Ginny and I moved in together. So I moved out of there in like August or something, like August of the year that COVID hit. And so the year that COVID dropped, I was in August. I moved out of there, but we were just like playing poker, and Joe was building Legos. He was like the head model builder at Legoland in Kansas City or whatever.
Was he? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
about him.
And so they were like, you have to work from home at the beginning, and he was work from home was just building stuff with Legos.
Wow.
And so we would
Who started the pandemic off on the strongest of notes? Joe.
Yeah,
just
Joe
building
did.
Legos for his job in his house. That's
well,
amazing.
that was his job when he went in there too.
Yeah.
like he's just had to go to the building and play with Legos before. But we were like, I remember we were like shooting paper airplanes out the window and like laughing and high fiving and.
Do you know who had it
we were
the
like playing
hardest?
poker and all these people were dying. I feel kind of bad about.
We were just having fun up
how
here,
much fun
right?
I had at the
It's like
beginning.
it's like that family
And
that was down in the
throughout,
bunker
honestly.
in Cloverfield 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just like it's like that post. I don't know. I never saw the movie. It looked like
Neither have I.
post-apocalyptic. But there's that trailer a few years ago where they're all like in their bunker playing games. And that's how I felt during the pandemic.
Yeah, I
But-
really did. We were on lockdown.
Yeah. And nobody had it worse than my ex-wife.
Really.
Yeah, because I was working from home. Work was like and I work in radio.
Yeah.
So like at like 5 a.m, I'm waking up and I'm going to our basement, and it was a small house. So like I was in like the part of the basement I had to be in was right under our bedroom. So I'm just yelling off traffic reports and just waking her up at 5 every morning. I did feel bad. Seriously,
Traffic during COVID too, so there's like no traffic ever.
there was no traffic at the
Yeah.
time. I thought I wasn't gonna have a job. I was like, "What am I doing here?" Yeah, this street's fine over here.
We don't
This
need a
one's fine
traffic
as
person anymore.
Yeah, there
nobody
was-
drives.
There was nothing going on, and I felt so bad for. Okay, it was so funny. The first like day that we were working from home, I was
Yeah.
so aware of her being up there that I almost was kind of whispering my traffic reports, and my boss even said, like, "Hey, you need to talk louder. It sounds like you're just trying not to wake somebody up as you're doing traffic."
no one knows what's happening with the traffic. You gotta yell.
Hey, so I-435 eastbound and westbound lanes looking fine at 103rd Street. And they're like, you got to talk louder. I know you're not trying to wake up. And I was like, I think people get that, though. That's kind of the cuteness of the pandemic is how traffic reports sound because we're not trying to wake up our loved ones.
Yeah. Well, it also like, that's so funny. I was lucky enough that I like the first month my job closed, but my boss was like, "I'll pay you still." So I
That's
just
all. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, take that. Yeah.
It's like literally, it's not like I didn't get like all of what I would have made, I think, but
Mhm.
like it was enough.
And where did
was
you say
fine.
you were working again?
I was working at an engraving shop.
Oh, okay.
In
Gotcha.
Kansas City.
Mhm.
But it was I was like we didn't do anything. We played poker a lot. Played a lot of poker.
That sounds awesome.
And we had the whole patio.
Have you been going
Mockingbird.
to, the casinos to bank on that, right? You were an
No,
expert. You
no.
coming out of this? Yeah.
I can only beat Joe and Mitchell in poker. Those are the only two people that every other time that I played poker with more than
What,
just
you don't
those
think you
two
learned
or, like,
valuable
other
skills that you
people.
could take to the casino right
no,
now?
because
and-
how it would work, and I think that it was honestly the conditions more so than it was that I was good at poker, because I would beat them every time. I would take their money every time.
Mhm.
And what was happening is that they would get upset at each other about something going on, because I was sober at the time also. I was just stone sober.
Mhm.
But they would both be drinking beers and stuff, and they kept they would get in arguments as the night wore on, and both of them got more drunk. They would start going at each other and like getting mad at each other, and then I would just be slowly amassing all of their money.
Did you stir the pot at all? So you got that to happen? That was your master plan? You get them to yell at each other,
I
so you
don't
cash in. And...
think that I ever was even smart enough to do that. And I even if I would have thought of it, it was like it did not take much, because they were just like, we've all been stuck inside with each other for like a month. So even if you're, like good friends like we are, you start to wear on each other.
Oh,
You know?
yeah. No matter who you're living with, if you're
Yeah.
stuck with people,
Yeah.
you can start to hate each other.
Yeah. I will say that honestly though, overall, my pandemic, it was pretty awesome, because
There's the big quote that you can use to promote this podcast.
Yeah.
The pandemic was pretty freaking awesome for me.
well, I
man.
said my pandemic.
Your pandemic.
I'm talking about my truth. And my truth is that the pandemic ruled.
Live authentically, okay, Jake?
I just, then, because once I moved in with my girlfriend, then we still live together now, perfect harmony. So
Oh,
everything is
absolutely just perfect, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
that's
much.
awesome.
great. Yeah, no, nothing's bad. Nothing bad is ever gonna happen to me.
Did you
again.
say you moved in with her during the
Yeah.
more like okay,
Like
gotcha.
the summer after, like the very first summer that we had COVID. So I
Mhm.
guess it would have been 2020.
Okay,
Summer of 2020, we moved in together.
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Right around
What
the
a
corner from
wild
here.
time to move in together.
Yeah.
Because the pandemic was still weird, right? Like things
Yeah.
had kind of died down a little bit, but it was still
Oh,
kind of weird.
It was like
and-
still, because that year was when they were like, "Don't go home for Christmas,"
yeah,
which slapped,
right.
which rocked.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
They're
that
like,
was-
"Do Christmas over Zoom." I'm like, "Okay."
Do you remember though? Like we kind of gave up on anything like with like COVID rules during the summer, and then we got to like winter, and it like reminded us how screwed we all are still.
Yeah,
Because we get to
yeah.
winter and it got bad again. I remember cases were going. I mean, obviously with wintertime we're all inside
Yeah.
and it's more conducive to get like the flu and stuff. So
Yeah.
I just remember like we all thought we were in the clear after summer, and then like late fall, early winter came around. We're like, okay, we got to go back inside. We
Yeah.
gotta-
I mean, I think that summer was just easier to do stuff because you could go, like, you have outside. But even that first summer, like, it was still really, really bad because people kept being like, I don't know if you were, because you were talking about Quentin Lucas going to Lake of the Ozarks. Like, the first weekend of summer in Lake of the Ozarks, like, I don't know if you remember seeing those pictures. But like all the people
completely
just like
full-
mashed
oh.
in together in these pools
shoulder
and
to
stuff.
shoulder people outside
Yeah.
the pool, in the pool. There was no room to walk anywhere.
And there were a bunch of people that were just like, I remember there was a period of time. I think that this might have been like the final straw that I had, was like a bunch of people were like, I saw some people that I knew arguing online about like whether pool water killed COVID or something like that. I was like, dude, I gotta get off of here.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the
I can't
dumbest
do
things.
this.
I heard a lot of dumb things during the
Yeah.
pandemic. I hadn't heard that one.
They're
That's
like,
so
pool
dumb.
water kills it. It's fine. I was like, I gotta go.
That's just what people say at the lake.
can't.
People at the lake, because my parents, they retired and moved down to the lake, and that lake life, it gets to people, man. People are unaffected down at the lake.
Yes.
That was one thing, because I went down to see it kind of when we felt more comfortable. My mom is actually immunocompromised. She's lupus.
Gotcha.
And so they were being obviously very careful for a while.
They're like, we'll move out to the lake where there's more nature.
But they're also conservative. So my mom just did not give sorry.
That's
I was
so
going to hold
funny.
myself from cursing, but we're on Jaking Off.
Yeah.
This is Jaking Off. We can curse
yeah,
on
you
here.
can fucking say whatever the fuck you want.
I've just been on a number of other things that were and
Yeah.
especially working in radio,
Yeah.
I've always like had to be
yeah,
careful
you can't
with
curse
that.
in the traffic.
So anyway,
report.
my mom's like, "Fuck my health. You come here and hang out with me." And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." And so we, so my ex-wife and I, we went down and like hung out with them and
Yeah.
stuff. And then like just the attitude, like people down at the lake live in
Yeah.
a completely different world.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, nothing's going on out there. No,
Yeah.
there's nothing. We're on the lake. We're
They're
having a
like,
good time.
they say it's bad, but I've been spitting in my brother's mouth every day since I heard about COVID.
Jesus
Ain't
Christ.
nothing bad happened to him yet.
Yeah. The funny thing is that's not too far off from what
I've
people were
been
saying.
licking the bottom of my shoe and spitting in my brother's mouth after. He ain't got sick. Tell me
God.
where's COVID.
Oh.
It's just the flu.
Yeah, it's just the flu. I was like, I don't know. A lot of people are dying. I had there was a girl I used to
Over a
work with
million
that lost
people.
like 2 family members in a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. It's kind of real.
Yeah.
It's kind of real. There's
Yeah.
some people like really losing a lot here.
I think that the whole situation it felt like living on like in like some weird reality, like alternate reality where everybody just lost their fucking minds. Like everybody just completely lost their minds, I feel like.
And we're
you
still
know?
seeing that.
Yeah.
Like you ever see those
100%.
videos of people on planes
Yeah.
and just like what they're yelling out, like
Yeah.
people freaking out on planes,
Yeah.
yelling off just conspiracy theories they
Yeah.
heard, and they're like shaking and stuff. And it's like, what happened?
Now, I mean, that stuff I like.
Yeah, I mean, no,
I
don't
like
get me
that
wrong.
stuff.
It's hilarious, but it really came from the pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic I think just made there be more people like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It like rotted everybody's brain. I think that like even people who aren't like conservative like, you know, conspiracy theorists or something like that, I think that like just most normal people, it's like broken all of us in some way.
Oh yeah.
I think that the like long-term effects of like everything that has happened, and not even just like the death and the like, you know, mass illness, but like the ramifications that like, you know, economically that have like happened to a lot of people too. And just we're gonna see in 20 years the world is gonna be a fucking like completely different place,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I'm
Yeah.
kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
Actually, this kind of brings us into something that we need to talk about, because I don't know about you, I've been feeling increasingly more and more like we're like living out all of these different plots to like sci-fi like apocalypse movies.
We are phase
real
4
time.
of Marvel.
It really is.
We're living the phase 4 of Marvel right now.
It does feel
Because
like
that whole like phase was like so like
Yeah.
everywhere. Nobody knows what's going on. There's no plot.
yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about real life.
Yeah.
There's no plot right now. There's just random weird crazy stuff happening.
So I would describe the world as like we're living in the Avengers, but there's no superheroes. It's
No.
just the bad guys.
the superheroes
And-
decided that we are not
Yeah.
worth saving.
and like there. So have you heard about the like UFO stuff going
Yeah,
on?
I saw like wasn't there like police dash cam?
Okay,
footage of
so yes, and we're gonna watch that. I
Oh,
have that to
yes,
show you.
yes.
Yeah. So, there is some other stuff going on too, but we'll watch this police dash cam footage. This is from CNN, and it is. Let's see here. There we go. Full screen. We should be able to hear it too. Can you hear that?
Yeah. Oh shoot!
Yeah. Did you see that thing fall
It's
out
just
of the
beginning
sky?
of Transformers.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
all
much. You can like see it like fall out of the
Yeah.
sky. Yeah, so that's the deal with like the dash cam footage. It's pretty spooky. It's pretty spooky stuff, but I you know, for me, I'm a skeptic. I believe in aliens.
I do too.
Okay,
yeah.
I believe aliens
Mhm.
exist. I feel like it's foolish to believe that like life on other planets couldn't exist if there's life
Absolutely.
here. You know, some people are religious and that's why they don't believe that, but you know, whatever. That's just what I think.
Mhm.
And so I believe in aliens, and I don't think that it's impossible that aliens have been here already or have come here recently or like whatever, like crashed here. I don't think any of that is impossible. But I'm always skeptical when stuff like this happens because there's just so many people trying to like, you know, like do scams.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
stuff. That
Also,
I'm
I
just,
loved what CNN did, and they put like a Stranger Things type
I
music
know,
over
it's
the
like
whole thing.
so manipulative.
Yeah, it
to
is,
like, because
yeah.
all it is like there's a big. For those of you listening in the video, there's a big flash of light that like it is something
Mhm.
falling in the sky, and they don't know what it is. So that part
It's
is
all like
true.
big blue and green.
Yeah,
too.
and it's
Like,
and it's on a dash cam. That's real. And then these people are like, we saw a big 8-foot creature in our backyard. It's just like a police officer taking some report, like on the scene and stuff. But they like checked it out, and it says that they just were unfounded. But they said an object fell in from the sky into their backyard, is what it says. So.
and like
you
you
know,
said, it could be a scam. That like that's kind of the scary thing
Yeah.
about where we are with AI right now. Did you see? I don't know if you talked about it on your podcast before, but like a couple of weeks ago, there was that big thing where somebody had made it look like the Pentagon had exploded.
Oh, I
And
did
it was
not
like
see
going
that.
around, and it was like it
Wow.
looked real,
Yeah.
and people were freaking out. And the Pentagon had to come up and be like, "We're here, we're
Yeah.
still standing."
Pentagon has not been exploded.
Yeah, absolutely not. And
That's
that
crazy.
was So it's stuff like that I'm like, are they just? I don't know, but the fact that there are like kind of two sides to this, it's not just
Yes.
one person's
Yes.
account. Like that police dash
It's
cam saw that.
corroborated
Yeah.
and stuff, which gives it some legitimacy. But the other thing that this is happening. So that footage is happening in conjunction with the fact that there is a UFO whistleblower. That is
It's my uncle.
sort of coming. Is he really?
No.
His name is David Grush, Grusch, and so he's kind of come into the public eye recently because he did work for the U.S. government. He's a U.S. government whistleblower. Let me find the exact name of the thing that he worked for, because it sounds very much like federal government's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force is what he worked for in the U.S. government, which is literally UFOs.
Yeah.
So the thing with this guy is he's saying that they have retrieved craft of non-human origin, and that they have retrieved craft that had aliens. Like,
I heard about this too.
And you know, he, for all intents and purposes, like at this point, it seems like he at least knows something about it. So his whole thing, and he's not saying that he knows firsthand. He's saying he doesn't have firsthand knowledge, but he is repeating what other people have told him. Mm-hmm. And this is a guy who works for the UFO department in the government. So it's, you know, it's like has some legitimacy. Yeah.
Also, do you remember, like, was it the head of NASA came out a couple of years ago?
And they released a video of the pilots, the Navy pilots. Is that what you're talking about?
No, well, he just, in a statement, had said, we have information that the public doesn't know, but we're not releasing it because the public's not ready. And I was like, how are we not making a bigger deal about that statement, right?
It really is, like, I mean, there have been a lot of, especially recently within the last, like, 5 years, in regards to UFOs and aliens and stuff, and particularly with UFO disclosure, there actually has been a lot of movement towards, like, open disclosure. I don't think that we're quite there yet, but, like, I feel like shit like this is proof that we are getting closer to some sort of, like, answer to what we all kind of believe, which is that aliens exist, and we have recovered, like, alien things that are not from Earth that, like, prove that there's life other places. And I do think that there is an aspect of it that, like, you know, like, people aren't ready for, because a lot of people, like, the idea that life exists other places just, like, shatters their entire, like, worldview. Yeah. You know, completely.
And I'm scared about that. Like, I'm not trying to, like, shit on anybody's religious beliefs or anything like that, but it's just like, if I am scared for the moment that we have legitimate, like, proof that aliens exist, because, like you said, it's gonna shatter deeply held religious beliefs all across the globe that people have held for a long time. And for that all just to be gone, I can only imagine. Look at the insanity the pandemic brought us. Can you imagine if the aliens, the aliens were real? That's gonna,
it's you know, so part of this guy's thing is that he is saying that the information is being illegally withheld from Congress. So he's saying that this is secret information that hasn't been shared with Congress and is being held illegally. I'm curious to see what comes of this. There's a committee. He's like scheduled to, I think, testify at a committee hearing, or he already has. Maybe I haven't seen it yet, but from what I can tell, this guy at least, you know, has, like, some authority and legitimacy, and so I'm curious to see, like, what comes of it. But it does feel, like, very scary. You know, it's frightening.
Yeah, no, all of it's very frightening.
You know, I think the idea that I think that people, like, also really romanticize the idea of, like, aliens coming to Earth a lot.
I do not romanticize it at all.
Yeah, or that's the other thing, that they're just, like, horrified, like, that they're going to be, like, monsters and, like, kill all of us. But I think that nobody ever considers enough of, like, the middle, where, like, a bunch of aliens, like, come here and they're, like, just sort of, like, shitty.
It's going to be the movie Paul.
You know what I mean?
It's going to be the movie Paul. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Oh my gosh. It's Seth Rogen playing an alien that comes down to Earth. Well, the alien's, like, animated, so he, like, voices it. And he's just some, like, chill dude who smokes weed and wears flip-flops and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, he's just like, oh, by the way, I'm not here to, like, kill anybody. I'm just a cool, like, chill dude, you know? And so it was a dumb movie, but that's like, I feel like the only movie that's ever addressed, like, what if aliens are just chill, like, and they just come down and you're like, we're not trying to kill anybody, whatever.
Or, like, what if they come here and they are, like, like the thing that I worry about is it's just like they also are like religious fundamentalists, and they like show up.
Oh,
like, oh no, God, I never expected this. Oh,
and they Jonestown us all.
yeah,
oh my gosh,
or like something like that. Not even Jonestown us. They just start voting wrong.
What if those are the documents that Trump had all along?
It could be. Who knows?
He's trying to keep us from the truth, man.
They're the aliens are coming and they're gonna kill us. And then you were talking about AI, which this is like the second half of like this whole like sci-fi plots are like happening all simultaneously. You know, there's never like any like sci-fi horror movie where like AI and aliens like simultaneously destroy the planet or like America and like kill everybody and enslave all of us. But I think that is actually what's going to happen. Is it's going to be AI and aliens at the same time.
Wow.
Goldman Sachs predicted that 300 million jobs are going to be lost by artificial intelligence.
You know what's so funny is we keep hearing, do we need to keep improving AI? I don't know why. Like, why are we doing this? Because we always keep talking about how horrible AI is going to be for all of us, but we keep working on improving AI. And I'm like, why do we need stop it?
Yeah.
If this is our demise, why do you keep building stuff with AI?
I think that the way that AI is our demise, for me personally, my opinion is that a lot of it has to do with like capitalism. More so than it has to do with like AI itself, right? Because the idea of like teaching a machine to do stuff for you is like really good, except for when it's like you're teaching a machine to do stuff for you so that you can replace all of your workers, and then like nobody can like afford to eat food.
So you mean to tell me that we are all fucked because of greed?
Yeah,
not AI.
100%. And that's kind of what this shit is about, because this is a Forbes article, and I'm like mortified by the spin that sort of happens in this article, because of course it's Forbes, but you know, the headline, Goldman Sachs predicts 300 million jobs will be lost or degraded by artificial intelligence. And then they're like go on to talk about how it will like help GDP and stuff like that.
That is the most capitalist way. How can aliens coming down to Earth help us in our economy?
It's got this scary picture of like a computer face, like, and whatever, and then it's like, yeah, global GDP would actually increase by 7%, and it's like, oh no shit, dude, would global GDP increase if you don't have to pay anybody to do anything?
Right? Whoa, man!
Like holy shit,
we're burying a lead here. We really are. You're really missing something. How everybody's fucked.
But they talk about how it can already pass the bar exam and stuff. And I think the thing that is so crazy about it is like it's not even people. I mean, people are improving like the algorithms and stuff that the AI like operates on. But when it teaches, when it like learns new knowledge, like it's teaching itself that stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's like learning
bootstraps.
Yeah, it does.
Does AI have to do that?
Honestly, AI approves that like welfare that welfare shouldn't exist. Oh, a computer can teach itself how to pass the bar exam, but you can't.
That's a new reason for my parents to be disappointed in me. They're like, AI, look what it did in the short amount of time. Look at you, radio DJ, you know.
That's so funny. It just is like frightening. I feel like we live in more and more in a frightening world, and you know, like all this technology, these UFOs and stuff, it's scary. And there actually was somebody who had a lot to say about this kind of shit, who's no longer with us anymore, who passed away recently, and that is the Unabomber.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he
did pass away.
Yeah.
But he wrote a lot about technology and how it was gonna, which I like. I've read his manifesto. It's not very long, but and it's obviously like bad. It's kind of fucking like, you know, he's a murderer, and so there's some pretty bad stuff in there. But he does have some like really poignant like critiques of technology and like how it grows out of control. and how the reason why it has to keep getting like improving and stuff like that, to the detriment of like human society, is because of the sort of like the society that we built, which it's not exactly like a critique on capitalism, because he's not like a leftist person, but he is like it is a very like there are some good critiques of technology and like and technological progression in there, that it's like been reprinted in French and stuff, and like that was also how he got caught. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I actually don't know as much as I should about the Unabomber. I generally know what he did.
He sent some mail packages to people who didn't deserve to die for the things that he's like the disconnect is like what obviously makes him insane is like he is like very poignantly like recognizing these like societal problems with technology, but then his like sort of conclusion that he comes to is that like revenge is like a good thing. Like you should get revenge on people, which is just not. That's like insane.
He wasn't the one that did the cryptic letters to like the police department, right?
He did send some letters and stuff like that, and how he got caught was that he sent his manifesto to the Washington Post and said, "I will stop attacking people with mail bombs if you print this manifesto." And they did it because like Janet Reno, the attorney general at the time, like approved them to print it. And what ended up happening was his brother and his brother's wife read it and were like, "That's Ted Kaczynski's handwriting." His brother not his handwriting, that's his prose. Like that's how he writes. And so they recognized it and tipped the FBI off.
Dang,
his own brother, yeah. And so that's how he ended up getting caught. But honestly, his manifesto has like it kind of has outgrown in fame, at least, the stuff that he did in some regards, because it is like a legitimate document that like people are like, he's kind of right. And there's a lot of stuff
people
that he
like
says,
that, right?
Yeah, it's really annoying.
It's like the Dark Knight effect. It's like the bad guy was kind of right. Like, oh my gosh, like
yeah, and he like. But he's not. What he's not right about is like, the answer to these problems isn't killing innocent people. But I did read an article because he passed away. I think it was just yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. Because he killed himself in prison, and I read an article that was talking about these sort of like people like this. People who have taken to his sort of philosophy that he's laid out through not just his manifesto, but other works that he did in prison and stuff like that. And, they're pretty dedicated to like the very revolutionary aspect of it, which ultimately just ends up with them like hurting people. Like they're talking about, how they have a responsibility to attack an electric grid or something. But the result of that isn't, it's not going to do anything to the technology. It's just going to kill millions of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And weren't there like people doing that a couple months ago in Tennessee?
Yes.
They're trying to knock out the power grid and shit. Yeah.
It's a legitimate like concern, is like attacks on infrastructure and stuff like that, is like it's a really serious problem in this country, because we everything is so privatized and stuff, that there are a lot of elements of our like critical infrastructure, when you think of things like power grids and stuff like that are run on systems that are basically contracted out to like private companies, and those private companies don't have a very big interest in like updating and making these systems better as time goes on, unless they have to. And that's a really big problem for like security from stuff like that in this country, because they don't want to spend the money to make it better, and there's like a lack of funding, from the government to sort of force their hand into it. So it's like a pretty big problem.
And, like,
not to
we've
get
seen-
like too dry.
I know,
on
but
this
we see,
comedy
like-
podcast.
We see time and time again why that's such a horrible idea. That like if you don't like have any upkeep with you, they're always like, well, we don't want it. We don't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
It's too hard. And then we all end up fucked.
Texas.
Right?
That's what happened with Texas, and like people will point to the fact that Texas is disconnected from like the like it's disconnected from like the regional power grid in the area, and it maintains its own, which is true, and they do it to get out of like sort of federal restrictions and guidelines to sort of like skirt those, which is also bad and just incredibly stupid and irresponsible. But on top of that, they also don't want to spend the money to like, you know, winterize their electrical grid.
Wait, you mean to tell me people in Texas are arrogant?
Yeah.
You mean what?
They don't want to spend money to
here.
winterize their electrical grid, and so they're just like, I'd rather freeze than fucking pay money for power. It's like, oh, I got news for you.
There's
bud.
somebody out there who said that. That's not even like, yeah.
It's 100%. There's a girl in one of my classes. I'm in college. I don't know if I've talked to. That's what I started doing during the pandemic.
Going back to school?
Yeah, because I couldn't do comedy or anything. I was like, in school, all went online. So I was like, I'll go finish school.
What, you didn't want to try OnlyFans?
Yeah.
You don't want to like jaking off for real?
The idea of somebody paying me money to jerk off on camera is like, it feels like such a fantasy. You know what I mean? Like that feels like such a insane. That feels more of a stretch than like the UFO stuff. You know what I mean? Than the government being like, we got an alien
jerking off on camera for money,
for
like,
people paying me to do
that.
People actually paying me.
I have a new bit that I've been working on recently. I was talking about how the conversation, like, because, you know, I was talking about like needing side gigs and stuff to make some extra money. And my girlfriend was like, well, have you thought about doing OnlyFans? And it made me think, wow, we talk about OnlyFans like people used to talk about going back to school. Have you thought about going to OnlyFans? You know, it could be good. And I'm like, can I do that in my 30s? You know, and she's like, and you're a niche too. Like me being trans is an internship that looks really good on a college application.
You know who I'm the most jealous of is like people who can take pictures of their feet and make money.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that's such a sick gig. That's so sweet.
Trust me, I've thought about it. I feel very weird about it.
I just don't know what people want in feet. You know?
I don't either.
I don't like feet. And so I don't understand what it is that people find sexy about feet, but I feel like the answer is almost anything, because that's the truth about people with everything else, is that they find almost anything sexy. So it's probably like even like gross feet or like you know, like people with athlete's foot.
Yeah. Oh like, God. Yeah, that's a specialty right there.
It's gotta be.
Make a little extra money there.
Ain't that kind of gross?
I'm not here to kink shame, man. I'm not trying to get canceled for kink shaming.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know.
I'm not kink shaming, but I am kink.
Just because, like, I
am kink questioning.
Like,
come on.
Kink questioning.
What's up
I
with
love
that?
Yeah,
Explain it to me. I would like it explained to me.
Just because I don't know. I don't understand something, like whatever.
For sure.
Especially if you're paying me for it.
I
like,
want to know more. I want to know more. I want to know what it is that, dude. Steven has a joke about this guy who used to come into the Verizon store that we worked at together, who told our coworker that he was like, every chick that came in, he kept being like, oh man, like she got open toe shoes on. Look at her feet.
All right.
She's got nice feet.
All right.
And then without, like, unprompted, he said to our coworker, he was like, yeah, I like used to, when I was a kid, my babysitter used to play with my dick with their feet.
Wait, what? What?
Just to my coworker, yeah.
That is one of the grossest sentences I think I've ever heard before.
It's horrifying. I'm like,
He was a child.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
okay.
Pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And he's just like, anyways, what's going on with my cell phone? He's like, why is my cell phone not working? We're like, well, sir, it's because of all the foot porn that you have on your cell phone.
That's just so...
People used
That's
to come in there
wild.
all the time with porn on their phones. They would just be like, yeah, my phone has a virus. Can you like fix this?
Mm.
And it's just like a pop-up from a porn website where, if you go on a porn website, sometimes it opens another page on your phone that's like, your phone has a virus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Act fast. Click this button now. And they're like, it says my phone has a virus. And it's like, no, that's just an ad
just
from porn.
Trying to get you to click. Yeah, that's all it is. I promise you. You're good.
Yeah. And people would come with that. And there also used to be this homeless man that would come in and he would turn porn on all of the like demo devices that
Really?
we had. Yeah, he would turn a bunch of porn onto like all of the tablets and stuff like that.
Hey, not all heroes wear capes.
It's pretty funny.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, that's kind of a good bit. I mean, I think that, if you are going to go into a phone store and not buy anything and just mess with the demo devices, turning porn onto all of them is pretty funny.
That is honestly, I kind of wish I would have done it so I could talk about it on stage. Make a bit out of it.
I don't know. The world is a scary place. We're all done for.
On the flip side of like what you were saying about your coworker, when I worked at FedEx office, I would have customers like regulars. They would come in and they would talk to me about how hot they thought some of my female coworkers.
Oh my
were.
gosh!
And I was like, I don't know what makes you think I'm just wanting to talk about. It's so creepy.
The worst thing that can happen to, like. Not the worst thing, just something bad that happens to me, like I feel like, and probably other, like cis men, is that you get lumped into this creepy behavior with other cis men that they are doing because they just assume that you also are a creep. Yeah. And you're like, no, I'm not a fucking creep.
And I'm in such a like precarious like position where I've seen both worlds, right? Like because I was born and raised a cis white man, but now being out as a woman, holy fuck. Like I've only been out and transitioning for a year, and already I completely understand when women say the audacity of men, because I haven't even been out for a year, and in the past year I've had a number of dudes just in my DMs just commenting and saying the most disgusting weird shit. And I don't post anything like sexy. I post like normal pictures, and these guys will have disgusting comments for it in my DMs. And so if me,
just absolute dogs.
Yeah, if me, a newly out trans woman, is dealing with that, I can only imagine what like cis women have dealt with their entire life.
It just is so wild to me, the gall. Right? That, like some men have. It really is crazy. There was like a situation with somebody that I worked with, not at like a different place, but every time somebody would come in, like a woman would be in there, and they would just be like, they would whisper to me or something. They'd be like, God, like she's got the nicest ass in this place. Or like one time he was like, I kind of got a sick little crush on her. And I'm like, dude, stop. Yeah. I hate this. Yeah. It's creepy. It's creepy for me too. Yeah. It's creepy. Like, what about me to you makes you think that I want to hear you whisper into my ear, be like, nice ass on that one?
Exactly.
The answer is no, I don't. Yeah. I hate it. It's the worst. And like, it happens all the time because there are a lot of men like that out there.
That
like,
will join in
just
with
like,
them, right?
and just are like so. And I don't want to say that it's like even like most men, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
There are a lot of dudes out there, and so I get it. Like I get why women say what they do. Yeah, like because it just
is so like it's so rampant and weird. I don't know. I feel like as the like our generation and like the younger generations like get older and grow up, like more and more of that stuff is becoming less acceptable.
I hope so, because I do think it is more of that old school mentality.
Yes.
I think a lot of older like generations
Yeah,
that was just okay.
Just guy stuff. It's locker room talk, all that shit.
But they would do it in like
annoying.
The Office, just in front of women.
Exactly.
Like Mad Men wasn't. I've heard wasn't. I didn't obviously live through the '60s, but I've had people that age did say like, oh, dudes would just say crazy stuff in the office right in front of the women. In the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking. I don't know. I hope that it's like there's just becoming like I hope that there's becoming less and less of it. But
when I was at FedEx office, there was a regular, and I was closing one night, so I'm the only one in the store. And this old dude, he's checking out whatever print order I did for him, and he just goes, "So where's so and so?" And I'm like, "She's not here." And he's like, "Do you know where she is?" I'm like, "Why would I tell you where she?" And he's like, if I was 40 years younger, I'm like, if you have to say 40, if I was 40 years, man. And he's like, if I was 40 years younger. And he's like, I love what he said.
But
next.
he's like 45 years old.
Right.
He's like, if I was 5, I'd tear that up. I'd tear it up.
He was just like, I have a strong sex drive. It's in my blood, my family history. And I was like, actually, that's just biology. Like, biology makes us want, but you are creepy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a high, being a fucking, being a creep is in my blood.
He acted like being a normal human
DNA.
being, like having like sex, wanting sex and stuff was like some big family trait.
I love the idea of like, he's like, I'm so horny because of my ancestors. He's like, I can't stop getting hard.
What if it was though, man? What if
my
it's like a big
blood.
staple of his family? Like they're all like the horniest people
Yeah,
ever.
they're all just like walking around rock hard and sopping wet, just fucking like.
Their family crest is just a cock and balls or something like that. Yeah. My God.
Well, Cassie, we've done an hour and 8 minutes.
Has it already been over an hour? Damn.
Feels like it's flown by.
I know. It
I've had
has.
a great
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
has been
so
an
much for
amazing
coming
time.
on
Well,
the
thank you for
podcast.
having me on. This is awesome.
Love to have you back, of course.
Do we ever introduce the show?
No, but I'll do an intro at the beginning, and it'll all
Okay.
be good. Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll just come in mid-combo.
Okay.
Do you have anything that you want to plug?
Yes, absolutely. And this will actually work out for you as well because this coming Friday, June 16th, out at Crane Brewing, we've got Sour Batch Kids, a batch of amazing comics. I'm the host of the show, and Jake is going to be out there doing his thing, and I'm so excited. It's a free show. It's 8 p.m. at Crane Brewing. Come on out.
Crane Brewing. What's your Instagram handle?
Instagram is #Cassie. It's actually spelled out.
Yeah.
Cassie.
Cassie. HASHTAGCASSIE.
Correct. That is it.
Yeah, there you go. And as always, everybody, if you listen to this, please give us 5 stars. It would mean a lot to me. Follow us on Instagram at jaken.off.podcast and send us anything at all to jaken.off.podcast@gmail.com. Come to Sour Batch Kids, and I love you so much. I love you. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.